Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into one of the most alarming and fast unfolding crises in the world, Iran's water clock hitting zero. For years, experts warned that Iran was heading toward a point of no return, and now that moment has arrived. Water scarcity is no longer a prediction, it has become a daily battle for millions. In this video, we break down what has pushed Iran to this extreme, how it impacts everyday life, and why the consequences reach far beyond Iran's borders. Iran was once home to some of the world's oldest water management systems. Ancient engineers created qanats, underground channels that stretched for miles, delivering water from mountains to villages. These systems sustained Persian civilization for centuries. But today, those qanats are drying up, wells are collapsing, and rivers that once carried life are turning into barren stretches of salt. Iran's water crisis didn't happen overnight. It was built slowly through decades of mismanagement, rapid population growth, climate change, and political decisions that prioritized short-term gains over long-term survival. The country relies heavily on groundwater, and over the past 40 years, that groundwater has been pumped out far faster than nature can replace it. Cities, farms, factories, and industries all drew from the same underground reservoirs. In the early years, the water seemed endless, but as the water table dropped, the land above began to sink. Today, subsidence affects many regions, meaning the soil collapses because the water beneath it has vanished. Once this happens, the land can never recover, and the aquifer becomes permanently damaged. Everyday life in Iran has changed drastically. Long lines form outside water trucks in villages that used to rely on rivers flowing from nearby mountains. Households in major cities like Isfahan, Yazd, and Mash had now experienced routine water cuts. What used to be weekly interruptions are now daily or hourly. People collect tap water in storage tanks, knowing that the next outage could last longer than expected. For many families, taking showers, washing clothes, or even boiling drinking water requires planning and rationing. Children grow up learning how to carry water instead of learning how to swim. Agriculture, once the backbone of Iran's rural economy, is collapsing under the weight of water stress. Farmers can no longer rely on seasonal rains or snow in the Zagros Mountains. Crops like wheat, pistachios, and saffron, symbols of Iranian identity, are withering in dry fields. Many farmers have abandoned their land entirely, migrating to cities where they hope to find new jobs. But the cities themselves are struggling. With less water, industries slow down, unemployment rises, and tensions increase. Lake Urmia, one of the largest saltwater lakes in the Middle East, offers a dramatic picture of this unfolding disaster. Once a thriving ecosystem, supporting thousands of species and tourists, the lake has shrunk dramatically. Its once vibrant blue waters have been replaced by stretches of white salt flats. As the lake dries, the wind blows toxic salt powder into nearby towns, damaging crops and causing health problems. Doctors report an increase in respiratory illnesses, and residents often wake up to layers of salt dust on their roofs and cars. Other bodies of water tell similar stories. The Zayanderud River, which once flowed through Isfahan and brought life to the city's gardens and historic bridges, is now dry for much of the year. Locals gather along the empty riverbed, mourning what they consider the lifeline of their culture and economy. For them, the dry river is not just an environmental tragedy, it is an emotional and cultural shock. Climate change has made everything worse. Iran is warming faster than the global average, Heat waves last longer, and rainfall patterns have become unpredictable. Winters bring less snow, meaning less water flows down from the mountains. Summers bring scorching temperatures that dry out soil and evaporate what little water remains. Drought cycles, once occurring once every 10 years, now happen every 2 or 3 years. Iran is not just experiencing dry seasons, it is experiencing a dry future. Government policies are also deeply intertwined with this crisis. For decades, Iran promoted water-intensive crops such as rice, sugar beets, and wheat, believing food independence was essential. But these crops consume enormous amounts of water. Combined with subsidized water prices, there was little incentive to conserve. Thousands of unauthorized wells were drilled by farmers and businesses, making the problem worse. Even when officials attempted reforms, enforcement was weak, and political tensions overshadowed environmental concerns. The impact on communities has been severe. In rural areas, water scarcity has led to conflicts between villages. Farmers argue over access to shared wells and irrigation channels. Some villages have been entirely abandoned as residents flee in search of better living conditions. Urban areas face their own challenges. Protests have erupted in several cities where water shortages became unbearable. Videos emerged of citizens chanting for government action as water taps remained dry for days. Wildlife is also being pushed to the brink. Rivers and lakes that once supported diverse species are now unable to sustain them. Birds that used to migrate to wetland areas find no water to rest. Fish populations crash when their habitats turn into cracked earth. Even Iran's iconic Persian leopards face danger as water scarcity forces prey animals to move or disappear. But the water crisis does not stop at Iran's borders. Regional rivers shared with Afghanistan, Turkey, and Iraq create political tensions as each country fights to secure its own water future. Dams built upstream reduce water flowing into Iran, intensifying the crisis. International organizations warn that if the situation continues, large-scale migration could occur, with millions of people seeking refuge in other countries. Water scarcity could shape geopolitics in ways the world has never seen. Economically, the burden is heavy. Industries that rely on water, textile factories, power plants, agriculture, and food processing struggle to operate. Reduced agricultural output forces Iran to import more food, increasing costs for everyday families already facing inflation. Hydropower plants produce less electricity, leading to power shortages. Businesses close, unemployment rises, and young Iranians see fewer opportunities for a stable future. Despite the grim reality, there are efforts underway to slow the disaster. Water recycling programs are being expanded in some cities. New technologies aim to reduce leakage in old pipes, which previously lost thousands of gallons every day. Some farmers are turning to modern irrigation techniques like drip systems that use far less water. Renewable energy projects seek to reduce pressure on hydropower dams. Scientists and environmentalists push for the revival of qanats and sustainable water use. But experts warn that these solutions must be implemented urgently and consistently. Iran cannot reverse decades of damage overnight. The country needs long-term planning, stronger regulations, and public awareness. Many believe that without a national transformation in how water is managed, the future will be even harsher than the present. Communities, however, are showing resilience. Local citizens organize campaigns to teach children about water conservation. Volunteers clean dried wetlands and riverbeds to raise awareness. Teachers create lessons about sustainability, hoping the next generation will avoid repeating past mistakes. Some neighborhoods have built communal water storage systems, ensuring no family is left without access even during extreme shortages. But as the crisis deepens, the social fabric of the country is stretched thin. People worry about the safety of their families, the future of their careers, and the stability of their regions. Water scarcity becomes a source of anxiety that grows with every empty tap. Parents teach their children how to survive without water, something previous generations never imagined. Life becomes a calculation: how much to drink, how much to save, how much to sacrifice. There is also the emotional connection Iranians have with water. Their poetry, tradition, music, and celebrations often revolve around rivers, fountains, and gardens. Water symbolizes purity, life, and renewal. The loss of water feels like a loss of identity, a breaking of a bond between people and nature. The drying landscapes reflect the sadness felt across the nation. If the water crisis continues unchecked, experts predict that many regions in Iran could become uninhabitable within the next decade. Dust storms would intensify, agriculture could collapse entirely, and cities may face complete water outages. This would push millions toward migration, strain infrastructure, and create new waves of instability. The world cannot afford to ignore this crisis. Yet, even with the severity of the situation, hope lies in awareness and action. Other countries facing similar challenges, such as Israel, Australia, and parts of the United States, have implemented strategies that Iran can learn from. Water recycling, desalination, strict groundwater regulations, and advanced conservation techniques offer paths forward. International cooperation could help Iran avoid further disaster, but only if political barriers can be overcome. What Iran faces today is a warning for the entire world. Climate change, population pressure, and poor water management can push any nation to the brink. Iran's struggle shows how quickly everyday life can unravel when water disappears. It reminds us that water is not just a resource, it is the foundation of society. As the country stands at the edge of a water catastrophe, the choices made today will shape the next century. Will Iran adapt and rebuild, or will the crisis deepen until survival becomes the only focus? The answer depends on bold decisions, global support, and a collective commitment to protect what remains. Thank you for watching. If you found this explanation helpful and want more deep dives into global events and environmental issues, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Stay safe, stay aware, and we'll see you in the next video.